Hi guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm building my ultimate 110 work truck. If you've been following along, I've got the cab rear section finished in the glass in. I've got all the wood finished and in the rear body. I've done the fuel lines and I had the engine all connected up and ready to run, but we've actually run into a major engine issue. And I'll show you the solution to that, but it's going to be later in the video. It's this old Mercedes. So at the end of the last video, I was talking about the oak we was putting in the rear body. Obviously we've finished that. We'll jump back in time in a few secs and look at how we've machined that. I've got the cab rear section painted. I haven't done the roof yet. And the reason for that is because once I'd painted the rear section, I dropped the roof on just to make sure I got all my door gaps and measurements perfect. And I sort of quite liked the white roof, the contrast. And then I was double guessing myself, do I continue with this 007 James Bond all black truck, or do we maybe paint that in a silver or a metallic grey or anything other than jet black? And when it was in the workshop, all the time I had it in the workshop, I've been thinking about painting it different colours. And then today I've pushed it outside in the sun. Second I've seen it outside, I've decided, actually I think I'm going to paint it black. I think sometimes you just need to get a different perspective, and taking it out from the fluorescent lights and putting it under sunshine, or it's not very sunny now, but it was earlier on, gives you a little bit of a different perspective on how things are going to look. I mean, put in the comments if you think it would look better. I think it's called Carpathian Grey, it's a Land Rover colour. Thought about doing those grey and the wing tops in grey. But now I've got it outside, now I've had it outside, I just think, I think the black might actually look better. Maybe do the wing tops in satin black, have the checker plate powder coated satin black rather than gloss. But yeah, I'm heading back towards black again now. Right, enough of me rambling. Let's get on with showing you how I've painted this rear section, how I've got this wood planed, and then at the end of that we'll jump into what engine is in that Mercedes and what are we going to do. So guys, we've got the wooden deck fitted in place. It's looking very good. I'll show you that later on in the video. I had the rear cap panel in primer last video, and I've wet sanded it, and you can still see some of the marks. I've dollied the dints out, but you can still see a few ripples. So I'd like just to get a thin skin primer and filler in the lower edge, just to make sure it's as tidy as it can be. I'll show you guys the little marks that I want to just get rid of. Then I'm going to get some paint on it. We're going to do the inflatable paint booth and I'll give it a go. I've never used it before, so we'll see what it's like. So after I've wet sanded it, I've circled the area there. There's a little tiny dent there, one there. There's a high spot there, as you can see it's rubbed through the primer to the original paint colour, and a tiny dent there. I did dolly it all out by hand. It's not, I know it's a Land Rover, and I know they're not exactly straight out the factory, but just trying to get these little bits a little bit better than that, just for the finish at the end really. I've just got my filler mixed up. It's only a tiny skim. I'm just going to try and I'm not a professional car bodywork person. So the filler's been drying for about 45 minutes. It's gone hard enough to sand now. I'm not going to bother doing it with 120 or 80. I'm going to go straight with 240 because it's such a fine skim. I think 240 is probably the best to start with. So I'm going to hand sand it because the panels are all a little bit soft and wavy as Land Rovers are. I think we can get it finished a little bit better with doing it by hand. I'm going to dry sand, I'm not going to wet sand it. So this is, I've just got the primer on, and it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it is a Land Rover. It's supposed to have a few ripples and dints, you know what they're like. But I think that'll dry nicely. Then I can flat that off, wet sand it at 1000, and then I'm going to put some black on top of that, see what it looks like. So this is the next day. I had to wait a little longer. The primer took a bit longer to flash off than I thought it would do. So to wait till the next day to wet sand this. I've done that this morning. Made a bit of a space, and I'm going to get the inflatable spray booth out. I've had it out once to test it. It comes in a tiny little box, and then you can't get it back in that box, so it's in that big bag that it comes with now. But it's not too bad to store, but it's like a tent, it never goes back in the same size box. Well, I made that look harder than it should have. I'm going to get some tractor weights, put them in the corners inside, because I haven't really got any way of tying it down out here. That'll stop it blowing around a bit. Right, we're all set up. It's a little bit dark in here, but it's natural light, so that's better than, it's nicer than having the fluorescence. I've set the other camera up outside, and it's a bit, but the plastic's a little bit crickly crackly, so the picture's not going to be great, but I don't put my camera inside because it's going to get covered in overspray. First thing, I'm going to paint the inside, then flip it over and paint the outside. I did these two little stripes last night, so when I flip it over, that's dry paint. Right, and get started. Sorry, it's a little bit loud in here. It's been about 20 minutes, but it's flashed off. That's looking it's looking really good. So I'm going to flip it over and get some paint on the other side. So with 2 coats of paint in now. The spray booth is actually working a lot better than I anticipated. I've literally just finished painting and taken my mask off. You can hardly even smell any paint. The amount of fresh air that comes through there is quite a lot. The other thing is it's flashing the paint off quite fast because of the amount of the air that's changing. I'm quite impressed with it, really. So guys, this is the planer thickness set, and this is all the oak that has arrived for the Land Rover deck. So today we're going to be, or this morning we're going to be planing and thicknessing and getting that ready to fit. Right, we'll get started. So this is the oak we've been machining down this morning, and this is the finish now. It looks really good. This section is the Danish oil, this section here is boiled linseed, and that section at the end is beeswax. We're just looking at what finish we really want. I was going to try and burn it, but I don't. Now I've spent all this time milling it and planing it flat, it looks really good and don't really want to.
Looks a bit too nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a shame to
cover it up.
Yeah.
The difference between the milled side and the rough sawn.
Yeah, so you can see that's the rough sawn, which would be a nice finish if you was
the lorry driver.
Yeah, it'd be good. It'd be good if you was using it more commercially, because obviously it's got a bit more texture, hasn't it? But the plain finish is really, really nice. And obviously we put all the planks through at 30mm first, and some of them only took tiny bits off here and there, then 29, 28, right, and went all the way down to 25. So all the planks are now planed to the same thickness, because obviously when you get them from the sawmill, you know, 30mm means 31 on one and 29.5 on the other, and
32 on the next.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. So at least they're all thickness now to the same. So we'll set the camera up and start getting them cut and chucked on the back of the truck. So this is the all the finished wood now cut and fitted into place. I'm not screwing anything down yet because we've got cables and wires and things to get down underneath. Me and Brendan have it's taken all day pretty much to get this far, to get all this planed and cut and fitted. It's
not a 5-minute job.
No,
it's took a few minutes.
Obviously we're going to cut out around here to fit the inner wheel arches, but we left the planks full for now so that we can cut it to a nice neat edge. And then we've got also the 2 planks up there as the headboard. Obviously we left this recess, so, and the wood is slightly proud of the powder coat, so that when we slide a pallet or anything in, it doesn't scrape all the powder coat every time. But I think it's looking really good now.
I reckon it is. I reckon it's looking Sunseeker yacht posh.
Yeah. So this is all of our oak. Now we've thicknessed it, planed it, and got it to fit in the back of the truck bed. I've decided, I was originally going to burn it for a black finish, but I've decided to do it with Danish oil, and this is a dark oak, so hopefully it tones the colour down a little bit but still leaves the nice wood patterns and texture. So I'm going to do it with a brush. You can do it with a lint-free cloth. Decide to do it with a brush and just brush it on and see how it goes. Hopefully I've bought enough because I only bought 1 tin. So guys, used about half a tin, less than I thought. It says after 6 hours you can give it another coat, so I'm going to leave it to dry for 6 hours and then see what it looks like. I don't want to give it another coat until, I'm not sure, I don't know what the colour's going to be. I don't really want it much darker than that, but it might lighten up a little bit as it dries, so we'll see how it goes and then maybe give it another coat later. As soon as that's dry, I can put it all back on the back of the truck. You can see what it's going to look like. So guys, issues with this engine. I've never heard this engine run. I bought it on a pallet as a sort of untested, unknown. I stripped it, put new pistons in, bottom end bearings, new valves in the head. I thought everything was great. It had a 3-hole head gasket, so I went back with the same 3-hole head gasket. The only thing that I didn't do, and I should have done, is measure the piston deck height. I always do if I'm building a Perkins or any diesel really. I just assumed that with its standard pistons, brand new standard ones from the original manufacturer, I just put them back in and thought they'll be fine. They're not fine. There's definitely an issue. So when we rotate the engine, coming on the exhaust strut, as the exhaust valve is closing, the piston touches it as it's coming off the back of the cam. I thought maybe it was timing that was wrong, and I've checked 2 different camshaft pulleys, one from a Defender, one from a Discovery, because I put a Defender timing case on this. So I thought maybe the Defender one's marked up different because the timing case is at a different angle. No, it's the same. I thought maybe it's the camshaft. I've gone through a few things in my head. This engine's going to need to be stripped, and then we're going to have to measure everything and build it. I don't want to waste all the money that I've put into building this engine, and I've got other Land Rovers that will benefit from a really nice 200 TDI once it's finished. So I think the best option for now is to pull this engine out. I've got another 200 TDI in another truck that I'm going to put straight back in its place, just so I can finish the truck, test the drive shafts, test the drivetrain, gearbox, get the truck running and working. And I've got an old chassis that we can make the mock-up for the Mercedes engine. So I'm not going to spend any more time working on this one. I'll film pulling the other engine out, putting it back in. I'm not expecting that's going to take very long. A couple of hours to pull this one out, a couple of hours to put the other one back in, and then this truck will be able to run with a 200 TDI power plant. I am looking forward to testing this new Fox Turbo, seeing what that's like on a 200 TDI. But unfortunately, I think it's not going to be on this brand new engine. It's going to be on my other blue Defender that you might have seen on the channel. Well, let's not waste any time. Let's jump into the Mercedes and have a look at that. So the engine we're going to be putting in is the legendary OM606. This is, I've really looked forward to getting one of these. Hard to find. You can find them on a pallet. I want to buy one in a car because I want to be able to see it running, driving. The car's rough, but it's only done 140,000 miles and it's got a full service history from Mercedes. So I'm not bothered about the rest of the car, obviously, but I know the engine's had its oil changes and it's been sort of looked after at a main dealer. So hopefully everything that it's needed has been done. It sounds really good. A little bit diesely when it's cold, a little bit, you know, the diesel rasp when they're cold, but once it's warmed up, it does sound really good. I don't think it was a bad idea buying it in the car, because looking at the parts prices, you know, I know the headlights are all glazed, but if I can polish those up and get a little bit of money back for headlights, grille, mirrors, glass, seats, etc., I don't think there's a lot of difference in it by buying an engine on a pallet or buying the whole thing and splitting it out and getting a little bit of money back on the rest of it. So let's get it fired up and see what it sounds like. I'm going to put the microphone near the exhaust to see if you can hear it. It'll be better when the Land Rover sounds like that. So this is all the oak in the rear body. I think this is looking really nice now. I'm really chuffed with the way that's turned out. I'm just going to show you guys how I'm thinking about doing the exhaust. Set the camera down there. Show you what I found. I bought a load of 4-inch tubing from a local auction, and I'm thinking about making a 4-inch stack there, taking it through the floor, and then I've been online and it says a 3-inch exhaust is the perfect size for the OM606. So I'm going to do the rest of it in 3-inch. So it comes through the floor, 90 degrees, another 90 forwards towards the engine. I'm going to do all that in 3-inch, and then we ain't got to redo that when it comes to changing the engine. Same as doing battery cables and things like that. I'm going to leave a couple of feet of extra battery cable wound up in the box with the batteries, and then when it comes to changing the engine, I haven't got to make new cables. I can just pull the slack through and things like that. These are things I'm going to think about doing now, rather than fitting this and then have to redo it all again. I'm going to make the OM606 as a basic plant ready to drop in. So I've got all the engine mounts built, I've got the exhaust all fabricated, so I don't have to have this truck once it's on the road. I don't have to have it off the road for weeks doing an engine swap. I can build it all up with my old rusty chassis, and then when it comes to this, I can just drive it in, film it, pull the engine out in the morning, put the OM606 in, maybe take a couple of days overdoing it rather than a couple of weeks, you know. That'll minimise downtime for this truck, because as soon as it's on the road, I need it for work, so I don't want it to be off the road for too long. So that's the theory about doing the swap as well, not in this chassis now. So I've got a truck for work, and I can do the exchange engine much quicker in the future. So guys, we're coming to the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing. Next video, I'm going to pull the engine and put the next 200 TDI in, get it running. Hopefully we'll have the front wings painted and get the truck fleshed out so we can see its shape a little bit more. Maybe even get some glass in the windscreen. I've got the passenger's door, and I need to find a good driver's door or buy another new driver's door. So yeah, hopefully see you in the next one. Thank you.